So welcome to Angel Health Academy. Subject Community Health Nursing. The topic for the day is Occupational Health Nursing Part 2. I have already uploaded Part 1 Occupational Health Nursing, which includes introduction, definitions, aims, objectives, and in detail about the classification of occupational health hazards. So today is the second part of the video, that is pneumoconiosis and its classification. It may be an important short note for your exam, that is pneumoconiosis. In addition to that, pneumoconiosis and its classification is a broad area. To reduce the length of the video, I would like to make this pneumoconiosis and its classification into 3 sessions, and today will be the first session. In this session, I'll be explaining about what is pneumoconiosis, its meaning, classification, meaning of the dust, etc. So pneumoconiosis and its classification. So today is the first session of the video. In this video, I would like to talk about the pneumoconiosis in general and its general classification. 3 types of the classifications. The word pneumoconiosis is derived from 2 Greek words. One is pneumon and another one is konis. Pneumon means lung and konis means dust. Thus, the word pneumoconiosis is derived from 2 Greek words, that is pneumon, that means lung, and konis, that means dust. In short, pneumoconiosis is a disease of the lungs due to habitual inhalation or exposure to dust, which may gradually reduce the working capacity of the employee or the worker. So gradually the pneumoconiosis will reduce the working ability or capacity of the employee or worker due to formation of lung fibrosis and other complications. So pneumoconiosis will lead to lung fibrosis and other complications. Now let us discuss about the dust. Dusts are finely divided small dry solid particles. So it is very small and finely divided. It is dry and solid in nature, with size ranging from 0.1 to 150 microns. 0.1 to 150 microns. Then dust which comes in the size of 0.5 to 3 micron is very dangerous to our health. It may cause occupational pneumoconiosis. The dust can be produced in natural or in artificial way in a number of industries, factories such as mines, foundry, that is example is iron industry, quarry, pottery, textiles industries, wood or stoneworking industries, etc. So the dust can be produced either natural or man-made or artificially. Then usually they are released on the atmosphere during the wind or in the factory or industries by crushing, grinding, abrading, loading and unloading operations in the industries or factories or working places. So in short, dust are finely divided small dry solid particles which range the size between 0.1 to 150 microns. Then dust which belongs to 0.5 to 3 micron, they are very dangerous, that may cause pneumoconiosis. Then the dust particles which consist larger than 10 microns, they settle down in the floor from the air rapidly, while other, that is smaller ones which comes less than 10 microns, remain suspended in the air. That will be inhaled by the workers or employees. The dust particles which come smaller than 5 micron, they directly enter our lungs through inhalation, and that may be retained in the body or in the lungs. This fraction of dust, the smallest part of the dust, that is less than 5 micron, is called respiratable dust, and which cause or which may lead to pneumoconiosis. So the dust which is smaller than 5 microns is known as respiratable dust, which cause pneumoconiosis. Next is the factors which influence the hazardous effect of dust on the lungs. There are many factors. In that, important factor is, one is chemical composition of the dust, then fineness of the dust particles, then concentration of dust in the air, number of concentration of the dust present in the air, and the period of exposure, that is 5 years, 10 years, etc. Then health status of the person who are exposed to the dust, that is immunity status of the person. These are all important factors which influence the formation of the pneumoconiosis. Next is the forms of the dust. There are mainly two forms of dust, that is in the soluble forms and insoluble forms. So the forms of dust includes insoluble dust and soluble dust. The soluble dust dissolve in our circulation, blood circulation, and automatically that will be eliminated by the metabolism of the body. So this soluble dust will be dissolved in the circulation and that will be eliminated gradually by the body metabolism. Then second one is insoluble dust. Insoluble dust cannot be removed from the body as it do not dissolve in the circulation and get eliminated. That means it remains permanently on our circulation and that may lead to form the problems like fibrosis and other complication as pneumoconiosis. Next is definition of pneumoconiosis. Pneumoconiosis is an occupational lung disease. It is an occupational lung disease and it is also known as restrictive lung disease. It restricts the functions of the or capacity of the lungs. Thus it is called restrictive lung disease. That is caused by inhalation of both organic and inorganic dust. Inhalation of or exposure to organic and inorganic type of dust, often in mines, industries, factories, agricultural field or work environment, etc., which is characterized by inflammation, coughing and later that may lead to fibrosis of the lung. So pneumoconiosis is defined as an occupational lung disease and a restrictive lung disease caused by the inhalation of organic and inorganic dust, often that is comes from the or occurrence from the mines, industries, factories and from agricultural field, which is characterized by inflammation, coughing and fibrosis. This is the definition of pneumoconiosis. Next is classification of pneumoconiosis. This is the important topic of the today's presentation, that is classification of pneumoconiosis. So there are mainly three classifications. One is related to dust and second one is related to formation of fibrosis. So the last one is formation of fibrosis. So related to dust, we have two classifications, that is first classification according to origin of the dust. So pneumoconiosis can be classified according to origin of dust and second one is according to the type of the dust. So pneumoconiosis can be classified according to the type of dust. Then third classification is pneumoconiosis can be classified according to the presence of fibrosis. So first one is according to origin of the dust. There are two classifications, that is origin of dust can be classified into organic dust and inorganic dust. That is organic and inorganic. Second, according to the type of the dust, pneumoconiosis can be classified into silicosis, silicatosis, metaloconiosis, carboconiosis, mixed dust and others. Silicosis, silicatosis, metaloconiosis, carboconiosis, mixed dust, that is both organic and inorganic dust and others. Last one is according to the group, that is formation of the fibrosis, major pneumoconiosis, minor pneumoconiosis and benign pneumoconiosis. Now let us discuss in detail about each of this classification of pneumoconiosis. The first classification is according to origin of the dust. That is, there are two type of dust, that is organic dust and inorganic dust according to its origin. Organic dust includes can fiber dust, cotton dust, tobacco dust, hay grain dust. The main or important organic dusts are cane fiber dust, cotton dust, tobacco dust and hay grain dust. So can fiber dust may lead to the pneumoconiosis is called as bagasosis, B-A-G-A-S-S-O-S-I-S, that is bagasosis. From cotton dust, the pneumoconiosis is called as byssinosis or byssinosis, B-Y-S-S-I-N-O-S-I-S, that is byssinosis or byssinosis. Then from tobacco dust, that may lead to tobacosis, T-O-B-A-C-C-O-S-I-S. Then last from hay grain dust is known as farmer's lung disease. So the pneumoconiosis from hay grain dust is called as farmer's lung diseases. The second type is inorganic dust. So the most important inorganic dusts are silica, asbestos, iron, coal dust and others. So in inorganic dust, first one is silica, that may lead to silicosis. Second one is asbestos, that is lead to asbestosis. Third one is iron, that is lead to siderosis. And fourth one is coal dust, that leads to anthracosis. Let us discuss what are the other important inorganic dust. There are 7 other important inorganic dust which may cause pneumoconiosis. One is mainly basically from clay, that is silicosis. Pneumoconiosis originated from the clay is called silicosis only, and from talc or talcum, that is called talcosis. The pneumoconiosis from talc is called talcosis. Then different types of clays are there. Talc also is one of the clay. Then kaolin clay, that is a white clay, that also causes silicosis. And another silicosis, that is feldspar. Feldspar also causes silicosis. Then from mica, mica causes mica pneumoconiosis. Then tin dust. Tin dust may lead to pneumoconiosis like stenosis, and calcium dust will lead to pneumoconiosis known as chalicosis. CHALICOSIS. So these are the other important inorganic dust which may lead to certain pneumoconiosis. So the organic dust related pneumoconiosis will be discussed in depth and in detail in the second session of the video. And inorganic dust related pneumoconiosis will be discussed in detail and in depth in the third session of the video. The second classification, main classification, is according to the type of the dust. So according to the type of the dust, pneumoconiosis can be classified as first one is silicosis. Second classification is silicatosis. Silicatosis. Then third one is metaloconiosis. According to the type of dust, the third classification is metaloconiosis. The fourth classification is according to type of dust is carboconiosis. Carboconiosis. The fifth classification according to the dust, that is mixed dust, that is pneumoconiosis due to organic and inorganic dust is called mixed dust. The sixth classification is others. Others includes classification of pneumoconiosis based on the X-ray findings or radiological findings and based on the clinical manifestations. So that is nothing but stages of pneumoconiosis. Let us discuss briefly about the classification of pneumoconiosis according to the type of the dust. First is silicosis. Pneumoconiosis caused by the inhalation of the silicon dust, that is composed of free silicon dioxide, is called silicosis. So silicosis is a pneumoconiosis which is caused by inhalation of the or exposure for a prolonged period of silicon dust which consists of free silicon dioxide. The example of the silicosis is usually from inorganic dust such as clay, feldspar, etc. Feldspar is the non-fibrous silicates that cause the silicosis. Silicosis and the other inorganic dust related pneumoconiosis such as from clays, from feldspar, etc. will be discussed in detail and in depth in the third session of the video. The second classification is silicatosis. Second classification is silicatosis, that is nothing but pneumoconiosis which is caused by inhalation of the mineral dust. Inhalation of the mineral dust, which includes silicon dioxide and other elements such as magnesium, aluminium, iron, calcium, etc. So silicatosis is the pneumoconiosis caused by the prolonged exposure to mineral dust which includes especially silicon dioxide and other elements such as magnesium, aluminium, iron, calcium, etc. Example is silicatosis also caused from inorganic dust such as asbestos, that is asbestosis, talc, that is talcosis, kaolin clay, that is kaolinosis, and cementosis. The third classification is metaloconiosis. As the term indicates metal, it is the pneumoconiosis which is caused by the inhalation of the metal dust such as iron, aluminium, barium, manganese, etc. So it is the pneumoconiosis which is caused by the exposure to for a prolonged period to metal dust such as iron, aluminium, barium, manganese, etc. Example is siderosis. Siderosis is the pneumoconiosis that is caused from the iron dust. Then aluminosis, then barytosis. Barytosis is nothing but a pneumoconiosis which is caused from the inhalation of the barium dust. The fourth classification according to the type of the dust is carboconiosis. As the term indicates carbo, it is the pneumoconiosis which is caused by the inhalation of the carbonaceous dust. Carbonaceous dust such as anthracite coal, coke, graphite, soot, etc. Coke is a solid fuel of the coal only. So it is derived from the coal substance. Then graphite is a carbon mineral usually occur in some rocks. It can be present in some rocks. Graphite is also used in the pencil. Then soot is a dark black powdery substance which is produced by the incomplete burning of the organic matters. So when we burn organic matters incompletely, that produce a blacky powdery substance is called as soot. These are the dusts which cause the carboconiosis. Example is anthracosis. Anthracosis is also called as a coal workers pneumoconiosis. Anthracosis is the pneumoconiosis which is arised from the inhalation of the coal dust. Graphitosis is the another pneumoconiosis which is caused by the prolonged inhalation of the graphite. Anthracosis or coal workers pneumoconiosis will be discussed in detail in the third section of the video when I explain about the inorganic dust related pneumoconiosis. The fifth classification according to the type of the dust is pneumoconiosis caused by the mixed dust. That means it is caused by both organic and inorganic dust. We have explained in detail about separate organic dust and inorganic dust. So you can apply that to this one under mixed dust. Then other classifications. We have two other classifications. One is classification of pneumoconiosis according to the X-ray photograph. So others classification includes the first one is classification of pneumoconiosis based on the X-ray photograph or radiological findings. That is according to the character of form, size and contours of opacity on the X-ray or Röntgenogram. Then second one is classification of pneumoconiosis according to the degree of clinical manifestation, according to the degree of clinical manifestation such as stage 1, stage 2, stage 3 pneumoconiosis. So these are the classification according to the type of the dust. The last classification of pneumoconiosis according to the group or according to the presence of fibrosis in the lungs. So pneumoconiosis is usually divided into three groups, that is major pneumoconiosis, minor pneumoconiosis and benign pneumoconiosis. Major pneumoconiosis, minor pneumoconiosis and benign pneumoconiosis according to the group or according to the fibrosis of the lungs in pneumoconiosis. First is major pneumoconiosis. So inhalation of some dust result in major fibrosis of the lungs which results in the interference of the lung architecture or lung functions. So major pneumoconiosis means here inhalation of the dust which result in major fibrosis in the lung. Then that may lead to interference with the lung architecture and lung functions, normal functions. That is impairment of the lung functions with the major fibrosis comes under major pneumoconiosis. Example silicosis, asbestosis, talcosis, anthracosis, etc. All this comes under major pneumoconiosis with the presence of major fibrosis in the lungs. Second classification is minor pneumoconiosis. Here inhalation of the dust which result minor fibrosis of the lungs without interference of the lung architecture or lung functions. So in major pneumoconiosis there was interference with the lung architecture and lung functions. In minor pneumoconiosis there is no interference with the functions of the lungs but there are minor fibrosis. Example silicosis due to inhalation of the clays and mica pneumoconiosis and feldspar pneumoconiosis or silicosis all comes under minor pneumoconiosis with no interference with the lung architecture, parenchyma or lung functions. Then major pneumoconiosis and minor pneumoconiosis together is called as fibrotic pneumoconiosis. So both major pneumoconiosis and minor pneumoconiosis is together called as fibrotic pneumoconiosis as it form fibrosis in the lungs. So fibrotic pneumoconiosis is nothing but it is the combination of both major pneumoconiosis and minor pneumoconiosis. So the last classification according to the group is benign pneumoconiosis. As the term indicates, here there is no fibrosis in the lungs. So there is no any reactions in the lungs, but there is a deposition of the dust in the lungs that can be seen in the or revealed in the X-ray. That is a shadow in X-ray can be seen in the lungs of the employee. So there is no fibrosis, there is no disturbance of the lung functions of the employee, only the exposure with the certain dust. So benign pneumoconiosis can be recovered. That means the deposits in the lungs disappears when exposure is discontinued. So in short, in benign pneumoconiosis, there is no any reaction in the lungs, or there is no functional disturbances or no fibrosis in the lungs. When the person is not exposing further to the dust, there won't be any problem with this benign pneumoconiosis. Example is iron dust that lead to siderosis, tin dust that lead to stenosis, and calcium dust that lead to chalicosis. This is about benign pneumoconiosis. So far we have discussed about the classification of pneumoconiosis, and in this video we have classified three types of classification of pneumoconiosis according to the origin of the dust, according to the type of the dust, according to the group of the disease or manifestation like major pneumoconiosis, minor pneumoconiosis, and benign pneumoconiosis. Hope this video really benefits in your studies. If you feel it is worth and benefits, please share, like, and subscribe my channel, and stay tuned with the Angel Health Academy for the second session of the pneumoconiosis in its classification, that is the organic dust related classification of pneumoconiosis.